And so there was a vote in the House and the Senate today. You ever see them vote so fast in your life? Lickety-split. 316 House members voted to destroy the future for your children and grandchildren and future generations. They're spending like drunken Marxists like we've never seen in American history. And in the Senate, 65 senators did exactly the same thing. Now, I want you to go to Mark Levin's show, Facebook or Twitter, where we list the roll call votes, hat tip, right scoop. And check out what your member of the House of Representatives did. My member, Barbara Comstock, voted with the leftists for massive debt for my children and grandchildren. Mia Love did exactly the same thing. And so did others. You got people here who ran as so-called Tea Party conservatives. They're not. Kinzinger, Illinois, and there's so many others. Then they'll go home and tell you this is all they can do. Well, if that's all they can do, you have to defeat them. They don't deserve to be reelected. And in the Senate, I could have sworn a few days ago Marco Rubio announced, he declared actually, he was going to slow this down. Do you know he didn't even show up for the vote? Somehow the others managed to show up. Even the weasel Lindsey Graham, of course he voted on the wrong side. Rand Paul, Cruz, they flew back and they voted, but Rubio didn't. I'm sure that will be covered on Fox all weekend long. Here are the Senate Republicans who voted to destroy the future for your children, grandchildren, and future generations. Lamar Alexander of Tennessee, Ayotte of New Hampshire, Barrasso of Wyoming, Blunt of Missouri, Capito of West Virginia, Coates of Indiana, Cochran of Mississippi, Collins of Maine, Corker of Tennessee, Cornyn of Texas, Garner of Colorado, oh, he's an up-and-comer, Graham of South Carolina, the dishonorable Orrin Hatch of Utah, Heller of Nevada, what a joke, Hoeven, North Dakota, Inhofe, really, really troubling, in Oklahoma, Isaacson in Georgia, Ron Johnson up for re-election in Wisconsin, Kirk barely holding on in Illinois, Lankford in Oklahoma, again, great disappointment, Mitch McConnell, who is the Benedict Arnold of the United States Capitol, Murkowski of Alaska, Perdue of Georgia, a complete disaster. Roberts, see how Roberts lied through his teeth to get reelected in Kansas? Our friends in Kansas? He threw in with the leftists. Rounds of South Dakota. Tillis, that didn't take long, of North Carolina, and of course Wicker of Mississippi. Which senators voted against it? Well, not Marco Rubio. He didn't fly back. He didn't think it was worth it. I thought he had declared that he was going to slow this thing down. Boozman, Arkansas. Burr, North Carolina. He's running scared. Cassidy, Louisiana. Tom Cotton, who's scheduled to be on this program and a good man. Arkansas. Crapo, Idaho. Cruz, Texas. Daines, Montana. Enzi, Wyoming. Ernst, Iowa. Fisher, Nebraska. Flake, Arizona. Grassley, Iowa. Mike Lee, Utah. Manchin, Democrat, West Virginia. Markey, Democrat, Massachusetts, because they didn't spend enough for that fool. McCain, who's up for re-election, Arizona. McCaskill, Missouri, Democrat. Merkley, Democrat, Oregon, didn't think they spent enough. Moran, Republican, Kansas, because he's up. Rand Paul, Kentucky. Portman, Ohio. Reich, Idaho. Bernie Sanders, because we didn't spend enough. Sass, Nebraska. Scott, South Carolina. Sessions and Shelby, both of Alabama. Sullivan of Alaska. Tester, Democrat, Montana. Thune, South Dakota. Toomey, Pennsylvania. Vitter, Louisiana. And Wyden, Oregon, a leftist who didn't think we spent enough. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is what happens when you abandon your constitutional responsibility, separation of powers, Article 1, when you abandon the power of the purse, and you say you're not going to shut down the government. As a matter of fact, you take the liberal bait and you paint yourselves as the party and the people in the party who are going to shut down the government. And yet after 2013, we won a massive landslide. In 1995, a massive shutdown of the government. We actually built surpluses into it thanks to the Republicans in the House and Newt Gingrich. We lost a couple of seats in the House. That's it. After Reagan in 84, twice the government was shut down. 2 weeks later, he wins this massive landslide. And what happened after 2013? Well, the Bushies and the Rovites and all the other buffoons, they will tell you, well, we really had to work hard to win, this landslide in 2014. We had to reverse all the damage Ted Cruz and Mike Lee and Rand Paul and these guys did to the country. They're liars. The American people supported what Cruz and the others had done. They understood that the debt was under control. And they do today. The problem is the Republican Party and the establishment do not trust the American people. They do not trust the wisdom of Republican Party voters and conservatives. They think we're just as stupid as the Democrats. But we're not. And yet that's how they treat us. Here was the headline in all places, NBC News, the night of the election. It's a wave. Republicans celebrate big wins across races. The GOP netted at least 7 Senate contests. I believe it turned out to be 9. More than the 6 needed to win control of the U.S. Senate. May have been more. The party captured 3 of the 4 Senate contests taking place in presidential battleground states. It ran up the score in the extremely competitive gubernatorial contests, winning in Florida, Kansas, Michigan, and Wisconsin. And it even won a race it had absolutely no business winning. This is NBC News, of course. The race for governor in deep blue Maryland. The GOP successes didn't stop there. The Republican Party is set to pick up a double-digit additional seats in the House, increasing the majority in that chamber to its largest margin since the 1940s, if not the 1920s. And it's poised to make additional gains in state legislatures across the country. In fact, maybe don't call it a wave election, call it a political typhoon. Strikingly, it came as many, including NBC News, didn't see the 2014 midterms approaching as a wave, at least compared with the one from 2010, when Republicans picked up 63 House seats and 6 Senate seats. We can't have a government shutdown. You gotta look at the long ball. You gotta play long ball here. We gotta win the presidency and hold the House and the Senate. The way you hold the House and the Senate, the way you win the presidency, is being rational human beings and communicating to the American people. The American people don't want their children and grandchildren drowning in debt. The American people are unhappy with the central government. They don't like the federal Leviathan and all of its branches and its elements and all the rest. Do you realize, ladies and gentlemen, the Republicans act like they have no power? They control the entirety of the United States Congress. They control most of the governorships. They control most of the state legislatures. We have most of the elected positions in the entire country, but we have allowed an imperial president to get away with being imperial.
Well, let me say it again, no more government shutdown.
And we're not going to shut the government down.
But the one thing I'm not going to do going into 2016 is shut the government down and taint our ability to win.
I didn't come here to shut down the government. I certainly didn't come here to default on our debt.
You know, if you're going to shut the government down, you're never going to get anything signed by the president because he's in total opposition.
All of those involved in it went on a fool's errand.
Yes, you are. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we know who Barack Obama is, and we know what he's up to. But do you hear these Republicans? We have 1,000 of these. We had to cut it off. You see, from day one, when the Republicans took the House, and then when they took the Senate, they said to Obama and the Democrats and the media and all the rest of them, have your way with us. Oh, you're going to send something Obama might veto? Yeah, he might veto it. And the government might, quote-unquote, shut down for a week or two, and then you negotiate. Then you explain to the American people what's going on. Then you duke it out for the next election. You don't say, we are not going to shut down the government when he is shutting down the government. And you don't say we're going to default when they know we're not going to default. We didn't default any of the 18 times the government was supposedly shut down, did we? Now, we will default if this debt keeps going with these loser, lightweight, third-tier joke of a political group in Washington, D.C. keeps doing this to us because we're running out of time. The Republican Party doesn't even realize what strength it has if it would embrace constitutional conservative and fiscal conservatism.